situated here. Okay. Now I'm on my live window. And today's going to be a quick show. I don't have much to talk about because it's a slow news day. And I was sifting through all of my saved articles, and I'm wondering, okay, what would make the most sense to talk about today that I haven't actually talked about yet? And I have an article, actually I have several articles about all of these people who have left the Trump administration. And the first thing that came to my mind in preparation for today's show were rats jumping the ship. You know, as the old saying goes, you know, when things are going bad, when things are not working properly, when you have a structure in place that is supposed to provide things or do some sort of service, and it's about to collapse. Whatever you have that's not working and it's not functioning properly, it's about to collapse, and it's clearly about to collapse, and everybody knows it. That's where you get the whole analogy of rats jumping the ship. And then also, too, if you remember the movie Titanic, you know, as the ship was literally coming, or as the water was literally flooding into the ship, what did you see? You saw rats scurrying throughout the halls of the ship. Let me tweet out my YouTube link really quick, just so everybody knows that I'm streaming. Like I said, today's gonna be a quick show. I don't have much to talk about, which usually you guys know I like to go deep into a lot of these stories, but no, today is going to be very, very to the point and very simple, because something that a lot of people aren't really talking about, like in the news, they will talk about different people leaving, like Hope Hicks and Rob Porter, that guy, and Steve Bannon and Gorka, and the list goes on and on. Gary Cohn, he's the most recent victim of this debacle of a presidency. But people in the media, they just report it, you know, and they just give whoever's leaving, they just give their sort of explanation for why they're leaving. They just say, oh, this person said that he's leaving or she's leaving because, you know, of XYZ, or, you know, but they would probably just love it in the private sector. Who would want to be in this White House when you can make twice in the private sector and you have all of this access and everything like that? Yeah, some of it might be about money, but I don't think that's the primary reason. And this is the thing that people in the media are glossing over. This is the point that they are missing. This administration is an absolute disaster. Okay, this administration makes the Nixon administration look reasonable. Okay, that is how much of a disaster the Trump administration really is, and everybody can see it. Everybody can see clear as day how much of a disaster the Trump administration is, but you still have a lot of people who want to say that it's about, well, you know, like Gary Cohn, for instance. You know, I didn't agree with Trump in some of his stance on tariffs, so I'm going to leave. It has nothing to do with tariffs. Nothing to do with these little policy decisions, because people like Cohn, you got to think of them. You got to think about this. People like him were there. A lot of them that were there because of the tax cuts. Gary Cohn comes from Goldman Sachs. He was literally a CEO of Goldman Sachs right before joining the Trump administration. So do you really think that he's as displeased as he's letting on? No, of course not. Okay, we are having some technical difficulties right now. What is going on with this? Give me 1 second. I know I just stopped mid speech, but I'm having some technical difficulties on my end. Okay, there we go. Okay, now we're back. We're back now. Yeah, we're having some glitches on my end, and but it looks like everything is back to normal now. So yeah, I'm sharing some information in my Facebook group in the midst of this live stream right now. And hold on 1 second. By the way, the name of my Facebook group, I want everybody to join this Facebook group. It's called Independent Black Media Think Tank. No more colonizer lies. Okay? Go ahead and join that group, and we are going to get things situated right now for everybody. So yeah, Gary Cohn, let me pull up some information. Hold on, what in the world is this? Deletes. Give me 1 second, family. I'm getting some information properly written on my stream. Information properly written. Perfect. All right, that's how I want it. That is how I want it. Okay, so yeah, as I was saying, going back to Gary Cohn, this is from Politico. Okay, he's saying he's resigning as top White House economic advisor. Now, get this. Like I said, this man was directly from Goldman Sachs. Okay, and Trump placed him as his top economic advisor. Can you believe that? Trump made all of you guys, all of you Trump supporters who hopefully aren't listening to this right now. But, you know, I get some trolls who come onto my channel from time to time because I get some of my videos start trending. And, you know, whenever things start trending and whenever things start going well, in come the trolls. That's how you know you're doing something right, if you're getting trolled. So the trolls won't really like this, but I thought your boy Trump was draining the swamp. I thought that's what he was there for. That's what he told everybody. That's what he told us. He said he was draining the swamp. It doesn't look like he's actually draining the swamp, though. Because he has people like Gary Cohn in positions of power. So now this guy is leaving as the White House National Economic Council Director. Okay, supposedly, this is how it's being reported, over differences with the president over tariffs. Okay? So he said, this is what Cohn said. He says, quote, "It has been an honor to serve my country and enact pro-growth," that's their spin, "economic policies," growth as in growth for the top 1%, by the way, "economic policies to benefit the American people." It's not going to benefit the American people, but I'll continue. "In particular, the passage of historic tax reform," Cohn said in a statement provided by the White House. Quote, "I am grateful to the president for giving me this opportunity and wish him and the administration great success in the future." That has absolutely nothing to do with why Gary Cohn is leaving. Gary Cohn is leaving along with Hope Hicks and the rest of the rats on board the Trump regime ship. They're leaving because the president of the United States is a disaster, and this administration is going to implode in the very near future. No one knows me like a piano. You show me I had something, and people call on. Okay, That is why he is leaving. That's what's going on right now. That is why Gary Cohn is leaving. These are rats jumping the ship. These are rats jumping the ship like the Titanic. Some people have left due to controversy. Some have been fired by Trump or people around Trump. For a lot of people, we don't really know why they left because they're staying quiet about it. Okay, so like I mentioned Rob Porter earlier. He's someone who left due to controversy. I think, honestly, I personally think Gorka left because of controversy. He should have never been there to begin with. That dude is a Nazi. And of course, he's wanted in Hungary, if I'm not mistaken, unless that's changed recently. Some have been fired, like Omarosa. And as if we didn't see that coming. And then, too, we know from other reports that this administration is very Game of Thrones-like. Like, everybody has knives out for each other. This is an administration where you can't really trust saying anything to anybody because you don't know if the people you're talking to are gonna go to Trump about something or go to the media about something. So you can't trust anybody in this administration. Nobody. Nobody's job is safe. So let me quickly go over some of the people who have been let go or who have left themselves. So let's see, where's that list at? Okay, so I mentioned Gary Cohn. He started at the beginning of the administration. He started January 20th of last year, and he's gone now after 411 days in office, or in his tenure. You had Hope Hicks, who was the senior communications director. She came on board January 20th as well. She was there from the very beginning. And she resigned on February the 28th. And this was the day after she was interviewed by the House Intelligence Committee. So the day after she goes in front of the House Intelligence Committee, answering questions about Russia and everything like that, she's getting the hell out of Dodge. And she was one of the people that Trump liked having around. I wonder why. And then, the Rob Porter situation, if you guys, I know you guys remember that because that happened very recently. That happened literally like a month ago. And he resigned amid allegations of domestic violence from 2 ex-wives. Rats, rats, rats. I keep coming over more and more rats. Rob Porter is a big rat. Okay, a big one. But he's not the only one. You had Omarosa. Now, she had to be dragged out of the White House. That's what they say. She's trying to pepper it up and make it seem like that's not what happened. No, she had to be dragged out of the White House, kicking and screaming. This coming from a woman who said that people are going to bow down to Trump's demands or his will or whatever, over the top hyperbolic language she was using. Okay, you had people like Dina Powell. Okay, you had Tom Price. Okay, he resigned back in September. He was the Secretary of Health and Human Services. Okay, Gorka left in August. Steve Bannon, Chief Strategist Steve Bannon. And you notice how whenever one of these guys leave, okay, the Trump administration always tries to make it seem like, they didn't have a big role to play. They try to spin that as if they're leaving the White House is not important. Anthony Scaramucci, he was the very short-lived, literally for 6 days, he was the communication director. He didn't even last a week. Okay, Reince Priebus, okay, the White House Chief of Staff, he was only in tenure for 190 days before leaving. Sean Spicer, I can go on and on. Okay, now what does this mean, honestly, What does this mean for the Trump regime? It means that this is an administration in disarray. It means that this is an administration in absolute and total chaos. Okay, it means that this administration really is not going to last long enough because it's not functioning. This is not a functioning administration. Okay, and because this administration isn't functioning properly, it's not going to last long. It's going to implode under its own weight. And you see, this is like, honestly, like something you would see in like the history books, in terms of like, you read stuff from like the Roman Empire and all of these four fallen empires, and you hear about these regimes and these leaders who sat in power, and the people were backstabbing each other and plotting against each other. That's why I made that Game of Thrones reference a little while ago. That's what this is like, almost. And of course, he's under investigation for corruption. Now, I don't buy into the whole collusion thing with Russia. Not 100%. I do believe that there was some level of collusion. I don't think that they had anything to do with him winning. Okay, I think, as I've said numerous times before, and I'll say it again, I think Trump is in office because of voter suppression and because millions of people didn't have their votes counted properly. That's why Trump is in office right now. They want to put it off on Russia because they don't really want to talk about the real issue at hand, which is one of the worst election systems in the developed world, which is the United States' electoral process. We have an abysmal electoral process in this country, but instead of talking about that, they want to put the blame on Russia and make it seem like it's Russia who is responsible for Trump being in office. Now, there is a story about Russia getting into the servers, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have the story right in front of me, for several states at the state level, and there's a question about whether or not they were able to do something to the voter rolls. So it's possible they could have tampered with some voter rolls, so when people showed up to vote on election day, they didn't actually, the people there who oversaw the process or who would oversee the process wouldn't actually notice that they were registered voters. They would have thought that they weren't registered, and they would have given them a provisional ballot. That hasn't been proven yet, though, but that's out there as well. Okay, but outside of that, no one actually thinks that the Russians flipped votes or actually impacted the votes themselves. Okay, but the thing that is important in terms of collusion, in terms of Trump's relationship with the Russians, are these backroom deals. All of these shady deals with Russian oligarchs and things like that. There's definitely something there, and if there's anything that brings Trump down regarding Russia, it's going to be that. And the fact that you have all of these rats jumping the ship means that this is clearly something that they're worried about. A lot of people around Trump are worried about. And nobody wants to be held holding the bag once the indictments come down. Okay, that's what's going on here. Okay, that's definitely an aspect, a role that's being played in why so many these people are just leaving. And then think about this. Think about how dysfunctional this is. There are a number of unfilled jobs that Trump has been skeptical about even filling. He doesn't even want to fill these jobs. Vacant jobs that have not been filled since he has been in office. What does this mean for America? You see, this is my thing. And this is what gets me heated about the mainstream media. This is why I started that Facebook group. Again, I'm going to promote that Facebook group. I'm going to pump that Facebook group out because I want people to join it. Okay, independent black media think tank, no more colonizers, no more colonizer lies. This is why, and I'm honestly even in the process of writing an article on my blog, blackandintellectual.com. Check it out. It will be about the importance of black media. This is why we need black media. This is why we need people with alternative views on these stories, because the media is not doing their job, and unfortunately a lot of the people in the alternative media aren't even doing their job. So we need an alternative media. Okay, what am I getting at? It's not, the problem isn't just that Trump is not filling these vacant jobs. The problem is He doesn't want to fill these jobs. People are assuming benevolence. People are assuming that these jobs aren't being filled because Trump is just not smart, and he doesn't understand the importance of having these jobs filled. No, this is intentional. Okay, these are a bunch of people, these are a bunch of plutocrats who do not believe in a functioning government. Okay, all of these people who have been talking about big government this, big government that for decades now, years now, they're now in power, and they are now destroying the government in this, because that's what this is. When you have all of these unfilled positions, these unfilled jobs, important jobs, okay, and they talk about the troops. I love the troops. Wave the flag. They talk about that flag mess when it's very convenient for them. But check this out. There's several positions that, for veterans. The Undersecretary of Benefits at the VA, that's a job that has to be filled. It hasn't been filled yet, and that person is responsible for overseeing the dispersing of benefits for some sort of $93 billion budget. And it's not being filled. There's another VA position that's not being filled. What happened to supporting the veterans? What happened to supporting the troops? It seems that rhetoric becomes very convenient if there's a political axe to be ground. But when it actually comes to having a functioning government, all of a sudden, we don't really care about we don't really care about whether or not veterans have their the people who are supposed to be in power are in power at that level. We don't really care about that anymore, or at least the Trump administration doesn't care about that. Those are the people who don't really care. Okay, this is a dysfunctional government. This is the most dysfunctional government the American people have had in any of our lifetimes. Worse than Nixon. And Reagan. The Reagan administration wasn't really dysfunctional as much as it was just corrupt, right? It was actually too functional in the wrong direction. But even in my lifetime, I would say my perception of a dysfunctional government was most present during the Bush administration. The Bush administration was known during that time from 2001 to 2007. Or 2000, 2008, if you're counting, the election years. It was known as a dysfunctional government because it was so corrupt and it was so scandalous. The Bush administration, Bush Jr., it was such a scandalous administration. Okay, real scandalous administration. Okay, you had people getting caught up left and right. Okay, but this administration, the Trump administration, is worse. It is worse by far than Bush Jr. It is worse by far than Richard Nixon. This might be the most dysfunctional government in American history, and nobody is saying it. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody is talking about how this looks like the most dysfunctional government of all time. Yes, I'm going there with it. This is the most dysfunctional government of all time in the United States. Hold on. I'm tweeting something out. Give me 1 second, family. Okay. I wanted to tweet something out really quick. For my YouTube stream, not the Periscope stream, because the Periscope stream pops up on Twitter without me actually having to do anything. But why does it still have this old title? You see, that's not what I wanted. Hold on 1 second. Hold on one second, family. I'm correcting something on my social media. Take a little break after that rant I went on for us. Okay, here we go. Yes, perfect. This is what I wanted. Yes, so this is the most dysfunctional government in U.S. history. I have a book. It's a small book. It's not that thick, but it's a book that lists all of the major corruptions in U.S. history, or major acts of corruption in U.S. history. And I'm talking politically. I'm not necessarily talking about social policy. Okay, I'm talking about, when I say the most dysfunctional government, I'm talking about in terms of people being in positions they're supposed to be in, positions being filled, not having a lot of a high retention, not having a lot of turnover. So people are in these positions, and maybe they leave after the first administration, but for the most part, you know, people stay where they're supposed to be. Okay, if you actually look at my stream right now, if you look at the live stream, okay, the pictures that I have shifting back and forth, one of the pictures is a snapshot from MSNBC, okay, where it has a list of all of the people, or really not the people, but all of the positions that were held by people that are no longer being held by anybody. It has a blue background. Okay, and some of these might have been filled after the fact, so I'm not saying that all of these departures are currently vacant. No, some of them have been filled by other people. But I don't even know if anybody knows whether or not all of these positions have been filled after they've been made vacant, after people have just left. I don't even know if anybody knows that or not. That's something people would have to actually look into, quite frankly. And so based on that, based on the books that I have, The Untold History of the United States, written by Howard Zinn, and the book that I have about corruption, listing all of the corruption charges and accusations and scandals and that have existed from administration to administration, from the first administration to the most recent administration when that book was written, which I believe was during the Bush Jr. administration. Okay, so that's where it ends. It lists all of the major accusations, all of the major scandals, all of the major forms of political corruption. And I've read that book from cover to cover. Okay, and you won't find an administration that has been as corrupt. You won't find an administration that has been as full of holes like the Titanic, and has bled so much employer activity as this administration, meaning just people who have left, people who have departed. You won't find an administration as accused of doing something, and this still has to be proven, I understand that, but accused of doing something as detrimental as the Trump administration has been accused of doing, which is colluding with a foreign government. And there's even a story, I'm not covering it, but there's even a story that has come out that questions whether or not Rex Tillerson was put into the position of power that he's in today as Secretary of State. They think that Russia might have been directly involved in putting Rex Tillerson in the position that he's in right now. You won't find an administration, and I might have to talk to a presidential historian about this. Who knows? Okay, I might have to talk to a presidential historian because I'm not a presidential historian. But I know dysfunction when I see it. And this is why the rats are fleeing the ship. It doesn't require rocket science. It doesn't require a degree in quantum physics to know that the leader of the United States is a potential criminal. Potential, I want to put that out there. He likes dictators. He emulates dictators. He emulates strongmen. He says that people who like drug dealers need to be shot, like Duterte. That's something Duterte says. If you're smart, you want nothing to do with this administration when the shit hits the fan. Okay, and the smart ones are getting as far away from this administration as possible. So when we talk about these things, let's talk about them the way that they're supposed to be talked about. Let's not, be politically correct. That's why we have to have the alternative media. So be on the lookout for that new article. I'm gonna try to get it up today about the importance of black media in America and to the black community. I will be I might talk about that on Friday if I can get the article up by then. And check out my blog at www.blackandintellectual.com. Follow me on Twitter at _blackintellect, and follow me on YouTube, Black and Intellectual on YouTube. Things are growing. Things are going great on my end. There are things that need fixing, and there are things that definitely need to be done that aren't being done. There are reasons why they're not being done, but know that things are growing. Things are looking up in 2018, and I will see you on Friday.